Hi, I'm Bridget. Welcome to my kitchen. I'm a fan of easy recipes that suit any season. The go-to recipes you depend on when you're rushed or haven't a clue what to make for supper. The kinds of recipes that you can make when you think there isn't a thing in the house to eat. That's what I'm sharing today. My two favorite recipes that I make with a can of tomatoes. Both are simple and always satisfying. The first recipe of the day is my mom's favorite tomato sauce. It's a classic by the legendary cookbook author Marcella Hazan. Brightly flavored and rich tasting, this recipe is one of my favorites and just about the simplest spaghetti sauce you'll ever make. This sauce is quirky in a couple of ways. It includes butter and lots of it, an onion that is simply cut in half and simmered in the sauce, and there is no garlic. The recipe calls for one whole medium onion, but this is a large onion, so I'm only going to use half. And we'll use a full large can of tomatoes, either crushed tomatoes or these are whole tomatoes. So I am just going to crush them with a potato masher. If you have a food mill, you could use that, or you could just use your hands. You just want to break them up, but we don't want to puree them because we want the sauce to still have texture. Once the tomatoes are crushed, I'll put the half onion in, the 5 tablespoons of butter, which is 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon, and then a heaping teaspoon of salt. We're going to bring this to a simmer over medium heat and let it cook for 35 to 45 minutes until the onion is soft. While the tomato sauce simmers, we'll move on to our next recipe, which is a penne pasta with a tomato vodka sauce. This is a fast, family-friendly recipe. When I moved home after university, we ate this weekly. And when I'd reheat a serving for lunch at work, people always asked for the recipe. The charm of this recipe is the creamy tomato sauce that is perfectly balanced. The richness of the cream is cut by heat from crushed red peppers, and the flavors of the two are rounded out by lots of garlic. The vodka adds just a little bit of oomph. The sauce comes together quickly, so I have already set the pasta water to boil. To cook a full pound of penne, I boil about 3.5 liters of water. And to that, I add about a tablespoon of table salt. Penne is the perfect pasta shape for this recipe. The sauce gets caught inside the noodles, so every mouthful is loaded with flavor. We'll start with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. The original recipe actually called for a full 1/4 cup of olive oil, but I find that 2 tablespoons is enough. And to that, we will add 4 cloves of garlic and 1/3 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And we'll stir that around. Now I don't want the garlic to brown, so we'll just stir it around for half a minute. And it's very fragrant with all of that garlic. Now before it starts to brown, I'm going to add a large can of crushed tomatoes. The pasta is cooked and our tomato sauce has just come to a simmer. So I'll drain the pasta, and I'm leaving the pasta in the cooking pot. I've left just a little bit of the pasta cooking water in the bottom of the pan, and this is bubbling away. So I will add that to the cooked penne. And I'll get that burner off. I'll stir to combine, and then we will add 2 tablespoons of vodka to add that little oomph to the flavor. And then half a cup of heavy cream. That's 35% cream. This recipe calls for 1/4 cup of parsley, and it adds lots of beautiful color and extra flavor. I prefer Italian parsley, the flat leaf parsley, as opposed to the curly parsley. It's a lot easier to chop for recipes like this. Now I'm just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes before serving to let the flavors meld. I won't need to salt it because the pasta cooking water was well seasoned. While the penne pasta sits for a few minutes, we'll quickly mix up a balsamic vinaigrette. This is an old recipe of my sister's, and it's lower in fat than a lot of salad dressings because there is only 1 tablespoon of oil, but the texture is lovely. We'll start with 2 tablespoons of Dijon mustard and a full half cup of a good balsamic vinegar. To that, we'll add 1/4 cup of hot water. That replaces the oil. Well, most of the oil in a normal salad dressing. We'll add just 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 tablespoon of molasses, and this is fancy molasses. And I will season that with a pinch of salt and lots of ground pepper. And finally, 1 small garlic clove. Now, the original recipe actually called for 2 cloves of garlic, which you are welcome to add, but we've got a lot of garlic in our penne today, so I didn't think that our salad dressing needed extra garlic. Once those are all combined in a mason jar, we can just give it a good shake. I'm just going to give it a little taste to see if I need to adjust the seasoning. Oh, and that's nice and tangy. So we'll set that aside until we're ready to serve our meal. Our buttery tomato sauce cooked for about 45 minutes. Now, before serving, we'll remove the onion, but don't toss the onion because it's delicious. It's spent 45 minutes simmering away in the sauce. So you could either chop it and add it back to the sauce, or you could serve it alongside your meal when you use the sauce. This is beautiful served with spaghetti, the classic way and my favorite. It's great used in any recipe that calls for tomato sauce. I stuck to the original recipe and used only 4 ingredients in this sauce, but my mom likes to add a couple of extra ingredients in the last 10 minutes of cooking. She'll add a clove or 2 of minced garlic that she has sauteed, and she loves to add a generous pinch of fennel seeds, and both are delicious additions. These are 2 of my favorite ways to use a can of tomatoes. The appeal of these recipes is as much the ease of prep as it is the flavor. Just a few simple ingredients that you can throw together in a flash, add a salad on the side, and you have a very satisfying meal. Thanks for watching. you.